Now at 5, KDOT announces a change in plans for the Crawford County Corridor project. Plus, Chautauqua, Kansas faces becoming a food desert as the town's only grocery store is closing. And
congressional leaders met with President Biden days before a government shutdown deadline. I'm Natalie Brent with details of the high-stakes talks on the budget, southern border, and Ukraine.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Plans for a new bypass on Highway 69 near Pittsburgh are heading back to the drawing board. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. KDOT today held a lunch at the Crestwood Country Club in Pittsburgh. There, they announced they were dropping the western alignment plan for the Crawford County corridor in response to feedback. They also announced a new corridor study to reevaluate their options. That study is going to be broken into 2 phases. The first will collect traffic and safety data as well as public input. The second will develop plans to move forward.
We're going to be coming out for public meetings here this spring and this summer, and we're just going to really try to understand from all of the communities down here, the county, the various cities, try to understand what they need out of US 69.
That new study is expected to take 12 to 18 months to complete. The town of Chautauqua, Kansas is losing its only grocery store. KOAM's Amber Jenkins joins us in the studio now with more.
After more than 70 years, Chautauqua Foods and Deli is closing. The employees of Chautauqua Foods and Deli are waiting for the signal to close shop for good. And residents in Chautauqua are preparing for a new reality of living in a food desert. Kevin Hahn, an employee for 3 years, says the owner of the grocery store made the decision to shut down the business, but has not picked a date.
When I first started, the store was doing good, and then it started slowly dying out. The previous owners, they had to sell because of an illness in the family, so they hurried up and sold out, and then whenever they sold out, they lost a lot of clientele, and it started going down then.
Once Chautauqua Foods closes, residents will only have a couple of variety stores. The closest grocery store is in Oswego, 9 miles away, and the closest Walmart is in Coffeyville, which is 28 miles away. Dow?
Amber, thanks. Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy joins us with the latest on some big changes coming in the weather.
Yeah, huge changes. We're in that part of the pattern that gave us that Arctic blast. If you remember back the Chiefs in the Miami game when they had wind chills of -30. This is a little more modified version, but look at this, 82 today. Blew the record out of the water, which was 76 degrees. Now, if we look outside, we're still holding into the upper 70s, but changes moving in quickly. Look where the front is. Fort Scott, Chanute, Neodesha down to 66, and Yates Center. It's also very windy. The winds are going to stay very strong as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. Fire weather warning still in effect throughout the evening hours due to the winds. Also, look at this. Along the front, we're picking up at least some scattered thunderstorms. We're going to get some very small hail out of these storms as they continue to push through and develop as we go through the next few hours. So we're going to talk more about this and what is to come here in just a bit.
Catch you in a few. It's been just more than a month now since a pipe burst at the Jasper County Courthouse in Carthage. In that time, the building was dried out. Damaged materials, including ceiling tiles, subflooring, drywall, and electronics, they've all been removed. Nearly 1/3 of the courthouse offices were affected, including the county collector's office. However, officials are now looking to start rebuilding those offices in the coming weeks.
We have to rebuild this office from the ceiling grid to the underlayment on the floor and replaster walls. We've been meeting this morning with contractors and subcontractors, and we have a better handle on what we think we're going to need to do. As much as I'd love for it to be open, believe me, I'd love for it to be open, we're just going to have to rebuild it. It's going to take some time.
Now, if you do need to access the collector's office or any other offices damaged by the water, officials say the Joplin offices are the best place to conduct business. You can also conduct business online. A pickup crashed into the Denny's in Neosho today, leaving the business temporarily closed. Happened just before 7 a.m. after officials say the driver of the pickup accidentally hit the gas instead of the brake. The truck drove into the waiting area of that restaurant. Officials say no one was injured in the crash. Denny's is closed for now as they wait for a contractor to complete temporary repairs to bring that building back up to city code. Congress has some pressing issues to deal with, including migrants at the southern border, funding for Ukraine and Israel, and a partial government shutdown that could be just days away. The leaders of both parties met with President Biden today to discuss the path moving forward. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
We got a lot of work to do.
Just days before the deadline to avert a government shutdown, Democratic and Republican congressional leaders emerged from their White House meeting expressing optimism.
Doing a shutdown would damage the economy significantly, and I think we all agree to that.
We believe that we can get to agreement on these issues and prevent a government shutdown.
But House Speaker Mike Johnson doubled down on his view that the southern border should be priority number one.
The catastrophe at the border is affecting everyone, and it is top of mind for all the American people for that reason.
It's still unclear, though, how lawmakers move forward on aid for Ukraine.
The intensity in that room was surprising to me.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who just returned from the war-torn country, emphasized that help cannot wait.
It's shaken that here they are fighting without arms against a brutal dictator who will just do anything to kill them.
While negotiations for the budget, border, and foreign aid drag on, payroll for government employees, military service members, and their families hangs in the balance.
Families are living paycheck to paycheck.
Bessa Pinchatti of the National Military Family Association also faults the constant uncertainty of Congress relying on short-term funding deals.
We're asking our military families to put themselves in danger while at the same time not knowing whether they can put food on the table.
If lawmakers don't reach another agreement by this Friday, agencies including the Departments of Agriculture, Energy, and Transportation will run out of money, with the Departments of Defense and Justice set to run out next Friday. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
A full shutdown set to take effect on March 8th would impact most government services. President Biden says a ceasefire that could free dozens of hostages from Gaza could be in place by next week and continue during the holy month of Ramadan in March. Negotiators from the U.S., Egypt, and Qatar are working on the deal. It could deliver a 6-week halt in fighting and the release of more Palestinian prisoners held by Israel. Palestinians in Gaza are facing starvation, with the United Nations saying the amount of aid reaching the territory dropped by 50% this month. Still ahead, the return of a potentially deadly disease.
Measles, once nearly eliminated in America, is back. I'm Michael George with which states are seeing outbreaks and how anti-vaccine sentiment is playing a role.
Plus, a new study shows long-term benefits of weight loss surgery for diabetics. Topping today's Health Watch, a new study shows bariatric surgery leads to better blood sugar control in people with type 2 diabetes than non-surgical management of the disease with medication. Bariatric surgery, also called weight loss surgery, involves altering the digestive tract, usually by reducing the size of the stomach. The new study might support lowering the BMI threshold for getting the surgery. It also found 51% of surgically treated participants had full remission of type 2 diabetes a year later. The CDC is monitoring the rise of measles cases in the U.S. Since January, at least 36 cases of that highly infectious disease have been reported across 16 states. Michael George reports.
At Manatee Bay Elementary School in Weston, Florida, near Fort Lauderdale, parents have the option to keep their children home following 6 confirmed cases of the measles.
People are infectious up to 4 days before they get the rash and then 4 days after they have the rash.
Since January, at least 36 cases have been reported across 16 states. Florida alone has at least 9 confirmed cases.
It can cause pneumonia. It can cause inflammation of the brain. It can even cause death. About 1 in 5 unvaccinated people who get the measles will end up in the hospital. 1 to 3 children out of every 1,000 will end up dying from it.
The highly infectious disease, which used to be common, had been declared eliminated from this country in 2000, thanks to a very effective vaccination program. But vaccination rates have since fallen below the 95% needed to achieve herd immunity. Health experts say those most at risk are babies under a year old who are too young to get vaccinated, as well as the elderly and immunocompromised. Florida's Surgeon General, Dr. Joseph Ladapo, is defying CDC guidance. He's not recommending vaccines or requiring unvaccinated children to stay home from school. On CBS Mornings, CBS News chief medical correspondent Dr. John LaPook said there is a reason for the CDC guidance because parental decisions don't just affect their own children.
You're not just rolling the dice for your child. Right. You're rolling the dice for other people's children and for other people.
According to the CDC, the measles vaccine is 97% effective at preventing infection with 2 doses. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
The measles virus can live for up to 2 hours in the air after an infected person leaves the area. Scientists around the globe agree 2023 was the hottest year on record, and now a new study finds a strong association with hot temperatures and preterm birth. Australian scientists looked at more than 1 million births over 20 years. Women exposed to extreme heat in the 3rd trimester were more likely to give birth early. Exposure during the first 2 trimesters did not carry the same risk. That is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, what you might want to know before buying your next car.
Which vehicles are the safest? I'm Danya Backus with the car manufacturers that earn the highest ratings.
Plus, we have big changes rolling in as a strong cold front is pushing through. Details coming up. Well, a record-breaking day for us today. Temperatures shot into the 80s for highs, so we blew the old record out of the water, and now we're going to start going the other direction. We have a lot of clouds out there, some scattered thunderstorms, which are starting to pop up. Here's a nice shot of our Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course, just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, fire weather warning still in effect through the evening hours. Now, humidity is still going to be low over the next couple days, and with the winds, you probably still don't want to burn. All right, right along the front, you can see some showers and thunderstorms trying to get going right across southeastern Kansas, southwestern parts of Missouri, and we'll see additional ones getting going a little bit farther south as that front works through. But right now we have a cluster, Nevada, El Dorado Springs, over towards Stockton. There is some small hail within these storms. You can see another little cluster popping up. So here's 54 Highway, Fort Scott, 69 South, another little guy just to the north of Girard. So we are going to have these scattered thunderstorms out there during the evening hours. But the big severe weather is going to be east. Chicago, Cincinnati, back to about Cape Girardeau. But we could still get a few stronger storms with some small hail, but that should be just about it. And then look at this, a band of light snow behind it, so we could even get a few snow showers later on tonight. All right, let's go through time. Let's jump ahead about 45 minutes. Scattered thunderstorms across the region. Still additional ones pop up, in fact, intensify a little bit once they get down toward Pierce City, Nevada, Anderson, and then gone by the time 10 o'clock rolls around. Now, the other aspect of this, what's firing those storms off, look at this front. Look how strong this is moving into our northwestern counties. Here's the front plowing south. Kansas City's at 53, 32, Des Moines 13, and Sioux City. So a lot of cold air which is working in. This colder air is going to plunge south as we go through the rest of the evening into the overnight hours. In fact, we're going to have about a 60-degree drop for us tonight. It's also windy. It's going to stay windy as we go through the overnight hours. So, of course, if you take winds and colder temperatures, check this out. Here's our wind chill factors by morning. 8, 9, 10 degrees. So you're going to have to really bundle up tomorrow morning. Plus, our humidity is still going to be low. It comes up a little bit tonight, but very low again tomorrow afternoon. So that's why there's still that fire danger outside over the next couple days. All right, a few light little snow showers trying to work in after midnight. Back to sunshine tomorrow, but look at this. Low 20s by morning. By noon, we only get into the upper 30s. By afternoon, we only get to about 43, 44 degrees. So it is going to be quite a bit cooler. Tomorrow night, few clouds start to roll back in, upper 20s again. Thursday, we do warm into the 50s. And then once we get into Thursday night, our next weak little system will give us a few light little showers across the region. 26 at 7, 37 by noon, high temp 44, which is a whopping 44 degrees or 40 degrees colder than what we saw today. Back to 55 Thursday, and then look at this, Dow. It's 77 Saturday, 78 Sunday. Mother Nature, she's confused. She doesn't know what she wants to do, but she is going to cool us down tonight.
Yeah, we call it a roller coaster ride, and this is one with a very steep dip, but then a very steep climb afterward.
Yes, it is.
Thanks, Doug. Coming up, why the FTC is suing tax preparation service H&R Block. Topping today's Consumer Watch, the Federal Trade Commission is suing tax preparation company H&R Block over issues tied to its online free file option. The FTC alleges H&R Block makes it difficult for consumers to downgrade to less costly packages, and it misleads many into thinking they qualify for free filing. Netflix is no longer allowing some members to pay through Apple's App Store. The streaming platform stopped accepting Apple payment for new and rejoining customers in 2018, but now many users who were grandfathered in, they have to switch. Members might be prompted to update their payment plan. If a new method isn't added before their subscription renews, they could lose access to their account until a new payment is added. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety is out with its annual list of safest vehicles. Each year, the agency raises the bar, making it tougher to earn the highest ratings. Danya Bacchus tells us which car manufacturers came out on top.
71 vehicles earned a Top Safety Pick or Safety Pick Plus award from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety this year. To receive the high marks this time around, IIHS President David Harkey says the agency focused on two main areas: the safety of passengers in the back seat and how well the vehicles could detect and avoid pedestrians in the dark.
We've done a really good job at getting the automakers to improve their front crash prevention systems, both for vehicle to vehicle and for vehicle to pedestrian. They're really making good strides in that area.
Hyundai Motor Group, which includes the Genesis and Kia brands, led with 16 top safety awards. Toyota, which also owns Lexus, followed with 13 awards. Mazda earned 6.
They are really making a good effort to implement those interventions across their fleet, regardless of the model, regardless of the vehicle class.
The Ford Explorer was the only model from the big three U.S. automakers to make the grade.
That continues to be a struggle and continues to be a disappointment. When we look at this list, we're not seeing a lot of domestic automakers on there.
Harkey is already looking ahead to next year. Among the improvements the Institute wants to see, better head restraints to prevent whiplash injuries. Danya Bacchus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
After a record year for pedestrian fatalities in 2022, there was a modest decrease to start 2023. A report from the Governor's Highway Safety Association found drivers struck and killed more than 3,300 people between January and June of 23. That's a 4% drop from the first 6 months of 2022. Stepping back to look at the past decade, pedestrian fatalities are up 58% since 2013. Final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, a look at some of the new devices designed to better track the health of women's hearts. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to have more on the closure of the only grocery store in Chautauqua, Kansas. Plus, work officially begins on the new mini golf course in Pittsburgh. And Missouri Southern softball finally gets a chance to play at home. We're going to have highlights of their game against Delta State. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Boy, what a weather extreme ride we're going on over the next 12 hours or so. Record high temp today.
Well into the 80s.
Sub-freezing by morning.
Yeah, wind chill factor is 8 to 10 by morning. So, I mean, a monster drop, about a 60-degree drop as we go through the overnight hours tonight. High temp of 44 tomorrow, but look at this. We're pushing 80 again by the weekend.
Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. Of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. Let's make it a great evening.